Alright YouTube, what is going on? It is ConflctNerd Callum here today, bringing you another episode of my Transport Fever Let's Play Let's Get Scotland Moving. In today's episode, episode number 14, we need to deal with cargo. And it's going to be down here in the Central Belt, and it's mainly though going to be up in the Highlands. We're going to make a modification to that railway line, turn it into a passenger line, also deal with the ongoing cargo situation up there. However, before we go up there, we need to deal with the cargo situation down here. It's not a big problem, but we've got a lot of food. A lot of food. When I say a lot of food, 500 pieces is quite a lot. The reason is because, if you've seen the end of the last episodes, I was over here in Isla. Surprisingly, you're actually quite empty. Maybe your production's just, your production's going down a lot. Dude, you were just at like 800. So strange, I went away for 10 minutes in between recording episodes and you're dropped down so much, so it's maybe because I'm not moving the food at a fast enough rate actually, that's maybe the issue. So it was because anyway those farms were doing exceptionally well, like unbelievably well. We're getting so much food, so we need to go ahead and continue to move this. So if I very quickly jump into here, we are looking at the train. The train's at 10.6 million, which is doing amazing, it's the bottom one. If we turn our attention to the road though, it's basically the on-put from here into the town of Stirling and Cumbernauld. As we can see, Cumbernauld doing extremely well and so is Stirling. So we're going to go ahead and create a third route today. We're going to go ahead and create Glasgow, and we're going to add more trucks onto the two current ones here. So we very quickly start off by building ourselves another road depot. And we'll go ahead and pivot you around and stick you just opposite, because that kind of makes sense. There used to be a depot very near here as well, but I had to go ahead and remove that to build our train station. So let's go buy freight, and let's go ahead and start to buy some more of these vehicles. So we'll buy 5 more vehicles and we'll assign you guys onto our... oh, where do we want to go for? Our Stirling line I think we want to go for, so that works out nicely. Then we'll add 1, 2, 3 more and we'll add you guys onto the Cumbernauld line as well. So that should work out quite nicely. 600 pieces of food, that is a lot. So you trucks better get on the move, because it's one of these situations when I always go ahead and moan about having passengers waiting at stops. It's essentially food just waiting at the station. It's just a waste of money. Or it's not a waste of money, I'm losing out on potential money. That's how I should phrase it. So along with that, I'm going to go ahead and add in our food drop-off point really in Glasgow. Whereabouts is that going to be? Well, all the commercials really in the north of, or the centre, or this northern part here of the city. It's strange because I went ahead and actually did one out here at Cumbernauld. It's sort of the town in between Stirling and Glasgow, if you will, and it's actually doing quite well. The food gets dropped off there. However, it's only got a sphere of influence for that area, not really the centre of Glasgow, which is what I'm aiming for. So we're going to go ahead and put in a depot over here somewhere if we can. I don't know how easy this is going to be, however. So what I want to try and do is I'm going to go ahead and flatten out this hill very quickly. Then what I'm going to do is go ahead and build a road which intersects up to there. I kind of don't want to destroy any of these businesses, but that's going to have to happen. I think I'm going to go ahead and put the road depot on this road here. I could have it more central, but at the same time I don't want to go ahead and destroy too many commercial units, because that's going to sort of defeat the purpose. If there's no commercial units there, then why are we building a, commercial drop-off point? So let me go ahead and we're going to build one of these very quickly. So let's go ahead and actually fit in the truck stop. So the truck stop could fit in there. It's actually, that road is kind of pointless to be honest. Let's go ahead. It's gonna, I don't know where I should put it. Can I fit it in? It's literally going to be one of these situations. Glasgow's city centres is actually very densely populated. Right, so ignore all that road there. I'm actually going to plop it in here just because it's got a little bit of a better sphere of influence than some of these commercial buildings over this main M8 road here, as you can see. So I could have built it on this road, but it's just not going to have the same effect. I also didn't want to go ahead and destroy too many commercial units because it would be defeating the purpose pretty much of what I was going ahead and building it for. I wanted to go ahead and provide the commercial units with food, but at the same time, how can I do that when I've destroyed all the commercial units, if you understand what I'm saying. So let me go ahead and very quickly create this line. Extremely easy line to create. So Glasgow Central, all the way up here to Stirling West. Stirling West I want to upgrade, but at the same time I don't want to lose all that food. When you upgrade, you go ahead and deplete all the resources that are stored in that station or passengers waiting at that station, and right now there's so much food there that I just don't want to do that at all. Right, so that is the ZF Glasgow Stirling all ready to go and into operation. So the Cumbernauld one's quite strange actually. It's sort of a little bit split route. I don't know why it goes in one way and comes out the other, but it does. So I'll just leave it at that. So it partially shares a route anyway with the Cumbernauld line. So let me go ahead and buy some road vehicles. We can already see, which I'm actually quite liking, that the amount of food at this station is starting to go down, which is, it's about time if I'm totally honest. So let's assign you onto the ZF Glasgow Stirling, and that's not a lot of trucks there to start off with. That's only 4, that's less than what Cumbernauld originally had. However, this backlog is slowly going to clear, so I don't really think we're going to need that many trucks going forward anyway. It's really all dependent on the other end. If the demand sort of increases at that end, then that'll be great. Production here is up again to 800, so it's fluctuating like mad. It really depends on how these farms are doing. Honestly, you need to get back up to where you were, which is closer to 800 at the end of the last episode. I'm just a bit concerned that the trains are not going to fill up, because right now, as we can see here, this train is on schedule to fill up on livestock, yes, but grain, no, so that's not a good thing. And the other train's already on its way here, so you farms have got a lot of work to do. I'm going to go ahead and jump away from here though, and we'll deal with the rest of the Central Belt later on. I need to turn my attention up to the Highlands. One tiny wee check I want to notify you guys on is there is people starting to wait at the airports for the flights, which I'm very, very happy about. It means that last episode, I mean, we can't go ahead and really make that call yet, but in general anyway, I'm really happy and I think it has worked out. Last episode has been a success. Right, so it looks like we have a little bit of an issue, and I don't know what that issue is. You're waiting for a free path, but why are you waiting for a free path? That is the real question. It's because you're waiting, and this is why we've probably been losing so much money essentially. Right, let's go ahead and very quickly do the railroad check. Who's on the wrong side? So there's 2 trains. I know why it will be. Right, I'm going to actually go ahead and make a big change anyway here. So we're going to go ahead and return everyone, and they're going to, of course, because, right, we're going to build a temporary depot. We're going to build a second depot up here actually. I'm going to make a big change to this line. So the first major change that we're going to make is we're going to go ahead and take off the trains for the time being, just because the trains, they're not really working out too well like I want them to. So let me go ahead and get you guys off the line because you're making money. Essentially, we're just going to go ahead and stop this line for a little bit, which I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of that or not. However, it's just going to have to happen. That's the way it's going to have to be. So those trains are slowly going to head back to the depot. So what is my next job? I want to go ahead and create a passenger service which goes from Thurso to Inverness, through Elgin, and to Aberdeen. If you didn't see the last episode, that was based around airports, based around creating this area here, if you will. We also built a station here in Elgin, which is good, so that's a good start. Though I think we might do 2 stations in Elgin, I'm not going to lie, because we could easily fit in a station over at this end as well. Then we'll have it underground going into Aberdeen. I'm not going to connect it up to Peterhead because I don't really see, there's not much draw to go to Peterhead instead of Aberdeen. So for this, we're going to have to make a lot of modifications. So we're going to get rid of this turning circle because as much as it's pretty, it's not really worked. Not a lot of trains, some, but not a lot of trains have used it, which is sort of just defeats the purpose of it. If not all the trains are using it, then it's a little bit silly, isn't it? We're also getting a complaint here about all these trains. It's these trains trying to return to the depots, and then we're going to use that turning circle, of course, to return to the depot, but now, unfortunately, they cannot. So, see, I wish there was an undo button in this game as well. That would be absolutely great. What I can do, though, is actually build another depot. This is a real mess right now. Honestly, it's a real mess, but it'll all work out in the end, and by the end of the episode, everything will be back to normal. Hopefully, that is. So you guys have no path at all. So, oh my god, really? So for this, we need to go ahead and do some forward planning. So I'm wanting to use part of the current train line. However, there's going to have to be some large modifications. So we're going to start off up here in Thurso. I want to go ahead and modify the Thurso line, or we need to extend the line to go into the city centre. I need to go ahead and build a station, and for this we're going to go ahead and build an underground station. I'm really thinking that the lines are mainly going to be separate actually, I'm not going to lie. Maybe bar the Elgin section, going down to Inverness I think they'll be separate, just because the current line's an utter mess. And the Aberdeen stretch, that is going to have to, it might be able to share some of it, but it's going to have to change part of it as well though. So let me go ahead, what we're going to do is we're going to pause this, we're going to go ahead and delete this whole street here, which I know is quite dramatic, but we'll go ahead and put this to good use. We're going to go ahead and build an underground station now. There's only going to be, and I can guarantee it, there will only be need for just 2 platforms here, because Thurso, it's the end of the line, you can't really go any further north, unless we were to build a tunnel under to Orkney, but unfortunately Orkney and Shetlands, these island groups are not in this game, which is a real shame, because they are very, very interesting places, and I would, if you do get the chance, visit them. However, they wouldn't be able to support a railway line at all very well, so I mean that's never ever going to happen in real life or in this game. Just because you got such small populations, and it's not worth it, that's the bottom line. Right, let's go ahead and build that in there. So that is the station built here, which is good. So now it's time to go ahead and have the fun of getting the train basically to come out to the edge of town, which so far actually we're having not too many issues of doing. I've not done this in quite a while actually. It's been a long time since I built my last railway line, so we've not really had to deal with the underground issues, but everything seems to be going quite well here so far. I'm not having the usual issues that I would expect, and there we go, so that's us out of Thurso already. So why do I want to go ahead and have a separate line currently from the freight line? Well, there's a valid reason for this. We can go ahead and play the game again, by the way, so these trains can go back to a depot. I've built like 5 or 6 depots. The reason is because it's really, really awkward. It splits up, and I need to have 4 lines simultaneously going down here. So I'm starting to think that it's not going to be worth it, and I want to go... One thing I want to do actually is pause the game again here. I want to go ahead and alter this road, because I think the road is a lot of the problem. And then we can go ahead and also modify the railway line as well. So we need to go ahead and straighten up the road. That's really what we need to do, and that's the biggest problem. Now we have unlimited money, we can do this, so previously obviously we couldn't do it just because we were struggling financially. But because I've quote unquote cheated, you know, I can go ahead and do what I want really. There's also not a lot of cars going in between here, so it's not really, essentially it's not really going to make effect. It's only going to make effect on the buses. However, the buses are possibly going to disappear when a railway line actually properly gets in use here. So I want to go ahead, the condition is I'm not going to go ahead and build any bridges or tunnels, because I think that would just be a little bit much. So we'll go ahead and connect you up to there, and that works out nicely. I now need to go ahead though and tidy up the landscape a bit. So that's me tidied up the landscape a bit. You can sort of make it the old road, but now that I've gone ahead and made it that modification, I'm sort of willing to go ahead and try and make 4 lines go down together. It's going to be easier now that we've made this modification. We're going to have to make lots of modifications going down here to Inverness. This is one of the most challenging parts of the map, this for sure. Just, it's the Highlands, that's the bottom line, it's the Highlands, that's the excuse there. So this is going to be interesting in itself. I need to go ahead and create a double level crossing, which that isn't too bad, but it's just the connection up to it is going to be the issue. I can guarantee it's not going to like this at all. It doesn't mind it, and I want to keep a good speed though. And 45, 46 miles per hour, it's not that bad. As long as we don't go under 40, then we'll be fine. But this section here, for example, this section can really be straightened out, and that's what I'm going to do. Just get rid of a lot of these bends going forward. So we can go ahead and do something like that. Going back to what I was originally saying about having no bridges and having no bends, the trains are different. Roads are cheap, but to go ahead, and buses to maintain are cheap, but trains are not, and the slight differences on the lines and profits on trains, it can just have an overall effect on the whole system. So I do want to have a straight line for trains. It also really affects the speed. Trains are really badly affected by straight train lines. So here we have our first modification. So this part here has been straightened up, going over to the bridge, and the same with this here. It crosses the road, then it straightens up, then we've got this here. So this is where the 4 lines are going to join up. I know we're going to have issues further down, but that's the first part sorted. And when we get to this area down here, this is going to be the interesting part. It's when we've got, in a sense, it's not quite islands, but it's islands in the middle of train tracks. That's what they're called. In this case, it's not really an island, but the train lines are split. So we're going to have a lot of problems coming down to this next stage. But as you can see, we're just cutting off bends like this, and this is really what I'm aiming for here. So we're going to go ahead and continue down here and see how well we can do. It's going to be costly, I know that, but it will be worth it. I'm sure it will be worth it long term anyway. It just might take a little bit of time to show. The good thing is though, the last episode's project is starting to show promising signs, and I think anything we build now it's at that stage now where it should be profitable. So next update on this project, a sense it's just going to be me start stopping, so if you don't like this, go ahead and skip forward a little bit more in the video. So I've gone ahead and straightened up more of the road. I've sort of broken my promise, however. It's just this, I don't know what river this is coming down from. It would be some mountains, and we're up here in Caithness and Ross County sort of area right now. I've created 2 small bridges, which isn't that bad, but we're already at Inverness, but I really don't know what I'm going to do at Inverness, if we're going to go for an underground station or what. However, it should be nice and easy to go ahead and build some more railway lines here, which is good. So this is the change that I've gone ahead and made. We've got a split at this bridge here, which looks really interesting actually. It's a bridge which has a junction essentially, so I really like this specific angle here. As we can see, it diverges, it splits away, and this also uses this, and it actually gives a purpose for this bridge because the railway line goes under it. And then, I mean, it really does go off to the side here actually, but it needs to loop round so it can get into Inverness Station, which it does. Then we're going to have it connect up. Now I'm probably going to have to move this train depot actually. All the trains are now off, which is good. I'll let the game run for a little bit. So right now there's no Northern Food Line. That's the bottom line. I'm going to have to redo this whole thing anyway, to be fair. So it just wasn't pretty at all. Now though we're in at Inverness, we can go ahead and connect up Inverness to the rest of the line. So that tunnel was surprisingly easy to build actually. Then we're going to go back into 4 different train lines here. However, again, we're going to have the approach is not going to be easy. The approach is always the difficult part. So you're going to come along here, have quite a sharp turn as you join into this line here. Then it's just because of the bus station. So we're going to have to modify some of this line. So that's me now gone ahead and finished the line. It's taken me a very long time. So we were at that stage I believe last time, and just for reference, the light blue line is the goods line and the purple line to our right is the line which goes from Thurso to Aberdeen, which I've not put any trains on yet, but I had to go ahead and define it to make this next section work. So after Inverness, the train comes out this tunnel here, and then they all join together again, and now we're at the airport, as you can see. So this is probably one of the more challenging parts here, which was to go ahead and make this train station work. So this train station is a very specific type of station. I did purposely choose it though at the end of the last episode, I believe it was. This here is a 4-track station with only 2 platforms, meaning that 2 tracks don't have any platforms, but that works out really well for me. So that means that my goods trains could just go through this station without having to create 2 branches of track, and it would allow all of it to work together. The only complication is I would have to go ahead and do like a bit of a crossover here, which as you can see I've got, just so we can access both of the platforms. So the train lines are not overlapping, then inside of the purple line is the light blue line for a short period of time at the station, through the bridge, or under the bridge I guess you could say. You're not really going through the bridge there. Then it again sorts itself out over here. Then we go into the 2 separate branches. So the left branch just goes back to the food processing plants, like we see there. And then the other side, well, we have this which goes all the way to Aberdeen. It goes into the tunnel and that connects up to Aberdeen train station. Now it's not on the same line as the other line which goes up to Peterhead. As we can see here, there are the 2 connections here. I mean, you can barely see it, but you can see what I'm going for here. So because Aberdeen is a 4-platform station, it means that I can go ahead and do this without interrupting the other line at all. So that's what I've essentially gone ahead and done there. Now, I've also kept the old line which comes into Aberdeen, which is this food processing bit here, and the reason for that is because we might eventually supply Aberdeen with food. However, I don't know when that is going to happen. It really depends if this trick works with going ahead and sorting out the food line on this route here. I don't know how successful it's going to be. So that's pretty much the modifications that I want to make. That's the bottom line. However, before we go ahead and get food onto the line and also passengers onto the other line as well, we're going to have to make even more changes. So, the first thing I'm going to do is start to delete track round about here. And the reason for this is because I want to go ahead and extend the length of these stations. Right now they're only 120 meters. That is not long enough for what I want in the future. So we're going to go ahead and make this modification now while we go ahead and upgrade the trains. It kind of just makes sense. So we're going to go ahead and cut both ends off. That's what you have to do to upgrade a station's length, which I'm not the biggest fan of. As we can see here, you are, well, there's no downgrade scheduled, but you've defaulted, which is not the best, but it was going to happen, not going to lie. Right, let's go ahead and upgrade you there to 200 meters. That's really what I'm wanting, which works out nicely there. Then let's go ahead and add in the rest of the track here. So, it's going to be a very minor modification, but it is going to mean that we can carry more cargo down here, which is essentially what I'm after. If we can carry more cargo on trains, which we can do with longer stations, then that means that we can go ahead and make more money, move more goods. Overall, it's going to be so much better. So that works out nicely there. I'll go ahead and add in some signals later on. We need to go ahead and do the same though at the top end up here. This end it's much easier to do though. I might have to temporarily go ahead and actually delete the road. I will have to temporarily delete the road actually. So we might go ahead and pause this game here. I don't really know how much stuff you're producing, and I'm tempted to build a second farm up here anyway, like we have at Isla, so I'll just wait and see how things go, because I would like to go ahead and increase production up this end too, and a second farm's not a bad idea. I realised that I did say I only wanted to add in artificial industry onto the islands, but there's already a farm here, so would it make much difference if I was to add in a second farm? Go ahead and tell me down in the comment section below. That is today's question. Alright, there we go. That is the modification made. Took a little bit longer, just, you know, null errors and all that on the track and the crossroad, but that's the modification made there. So much longer station. We're just gonna make so much money through these two lines. However, it's cost me a lot to set up, and it's definitely taking a toll on the landscape, that's for sure. Still got a little bit tidying up to do, but I'll do that off camera. In general though, we pretty much are ready to go, which is good. So the line is set up now. I need to go ahead and add on trains, and that's going to be the next big thing, which is going to be a little bit of a challenge. We've already set up the new line, so we've still got the Northern Food Line, which only goes from Thurso South to Elgin East. And then we've already actually set up the Aberdeen to Thurso line, going from Aberdeen, Elgin, Inverness, Thurso, Inverness, and then back to Elgin and Aberdeen again. So the good thing is about this build is that I've gone ahead and built it with the two train lines not going ahead and joining together. I have them overlapping, but at no stage do they join together at all, which is great. So this means that I don't have to worry about trains sneaking onto the wrong track. That is something which can happen from time to time. So we're going to go ahead and do just two separate depots, because we can do two separate depots, which is good enough. So this one's here is going to be for the Aberdeen to Thurso line. So if we jump into trains, then we jump into depots. The amount of depots I placed at the start of this to get rid of the old trains, by the way, was just way too many. Anyway, for this is going to be... Oh, now this is going to be passenger trains. What passenger trains are we going to go for? So I want to go for some form of multi-units. Definitely. What is... Oh, that's one thing I've probably not considered. How long are you? You're not very long at all, are you? You're only 160, yeah, so we're going to be limited by size here, which is quite unfortunate. What I think we will do, and it's the same on the trains down in the borders, or the train line which goes from Newcastle to Glasgow, that's what I'm going to build. So I believe they're Swiss trains actually, but I do think they're quite good. So I want to go ahead and go for the... I believe it's a short one. It can carry 165 people, which is decent, and for the price I'm quite happy. So we'll go ahead and buy 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. Again, that's maybe a lot to start with, but we'll see how you guys do at the start of the next episodes. Then for the food line, so we're going to start off here, North Food Line. You start off visiting Thurso South, so we're going to jump up here and we're going to do the depot up at this end of the line here. So right now there's no food to be collected just because there's no line, so there's no production, which that kind of makes sense to be fair. However, as soon as we get more trains on the go here, I'm hoping to start to see production restart. This time though it should be profitable because it's got a much stronger setup going for it. Let's go ahead and build another depot up here, which is easy enough to do. Then let's go ahead and see what trains we're going to build. I already know what trains we're going to build, to be fair. There's nothing much better than what I'm building. Multi-units, yes, maybe, but for cargo trains, not really. So let's start off with our locomotive, and it's going to be our rail freight one. It's going to be this one here, so we'll buy you. Then wagons. Now, because we've got 200-meter long stations, it's good. It's really good. Now, the bad thing is though that this farm really only seems to produce livestock, so we can't use these new wagons, which is a shame, but we can still use these, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to buy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's a lot. That's going to be able to carry 130 each, and then I'm going to buy 1, 2, we'll start off with just 2 of you guys actually, for the time being, and then we'll see how things go. So you're going to go ahead and deploy, you'll hit Thurso first, and then on the return, you will turn yourselves around. So this is going to be interesting. I don't know how this is actually going to work. The game just shat itself there again. I hope to see production starting again. That's the bottom line. That's what I really want to see. Production starting. It's not started to kick off yet, unfortunately. However, with this train on the move, let's go ahead and speed things up. I just want to see that number increase so I know that it's starting to produce again. That is really badly what I want. So now with the train running for, I don't know, it's probably been like maybe a month or so, we've gone into a new year as well. The production's not up here, but we're starting to see food appear at the station, so it's working, which is the best thing to see, and I'm happy that it is long last. So those trains are going to be making a bit of a loss for a while, but we can already see Inverness there, it's got people waiting, same with Elgin. We're getting really good use, and we're going to go ahead and jump onto some other stuff now to end this episode. We're getting good use of the airport, which is what I'm wanting to see. So let's go ahead and actually analyse how the air route is doing. So right now, as you can see, 20 people and 6 people, so maybe at the other end it's not getting a lot of use, but now that there's a train line set up here, it might get a lot of use. I'm not really at all sure. That train's already got 20 people on it, which is good to see. Both cargo trains don't have anything going for them yet though, which is a bit of a shame. Coming back over, Jesus Christ, these farms are doing well. As we can see, 370. The thing is, like, 300 doesn't sound like a lot, but when you've got 4 farms doing the same thing, then you're cooking. We really are doing absolutely amazing here. Such a contrast as well to, I mean, it's very on off, but it's very much on right now, which is good to see. So coming back over to here, how are you doing? It's because your production limit, you exceeded 800 and you must have got upgraded, so it's doing extremely well. As we can see here, we've still got a lot of bread, even with truck extensions recently as well. So we very quickly flick over to, and we can see both trains are in the negative quite bad right now, but I'm sure they'll change. Glasgow Newcastle's fine, Isla Stirling's doing fine, and I think we're actually going to go ahead and buy another train very shortly as well to go ahead and put onto this line. Peterhead Prestwick, you're doing great as well, so I just can't complain really about trains all round. I do want to check on how the individual truck routes are doing though, that's the reason I'm here. So we're starting to see quite a bit of reds, which is disappointing, so that's something which we'll go ahead and focus on probably in our next episodes of this series. Then we can go ahead and, I really don't know, there's a lot of stuff that I want to do and I'm still not at all sure what order I'm going to do stuff in, so, and again, comment suggestions down below, go ahead and leave them and I may consider building it. One thing I actually do want to briefly mention is that someone told me to go ahead and install a mod which you can build towns with, and I do want to do that for the west of Scotland, because the west of Scotland, essentially this whole area over here, doesn't get touched, which is a real shame because it would be really nice to have a town out here. However, we do have a bit of a problem that comes with that. The problem is with the mod, it's not stable, and that's something that concerns me, and until it's stable I'm not going to go ahead and use it. Also, I would like to say that you can't actually snap it to roads as well, so it's extremely difficult to use. I would love a small village, for example, out here, but unless I see a good tutorial on it, then I'm not going to go ahead and use it. That's something which I want to clean up. I would love to have something over here, but it's just not happening right now anyway. Anyway, turning my attention back over to here, so how are those road vehicles doing? So the ZF Stirling is doing absolutely amazing. the Glasgow one is doing well, and the Cumbernauld one is doing well, so it's good all round. Stirling one could be doing a lot better actually. I'm just trying to have a look here. So what's most, and the Cumbernauld one's doing fine. It's the Stirling and Glasgow one which need a few more trucks. So I think we're going to go ahead and upgrade both of you guys. How are we doing on truck traffic in here? Trucks are moving in and out relatively quickly actually. I can't really complain too much, but I do want to add in some more trucks for the end of this episode. So let's buy 1, 2, 3 of you guys, and let's go ahead and let me think about this. You guys are going to go on to the ZF. We'll put 4 of you on the Stirling, then we'll buy 1, 2, 3, 4 and put you guys on to the Glasgow line. Originally we didn't put a lot on the Glasgow line. I was a bit unsure of how it was going to do. It was really dependent on how the trains were doing, but the train is doing extremely well, so I'm really glad to see it. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this episode up here, ladies and gentlemen, so hope you have enjoyed it. Please leave a like, rating, subscribe if you are new around here. What I'm going to go ahead and do is turn my attention to working on improving stuff in this part of the world. We're going to go ahead and focus on the Central Belt. Done the Highlands, so I want to focus on plains. Central Belt needs a little bit of tweaking, that's for sure, because if we go ahead and we zoom out, Edinburgh's probably needing the next focus. It's insane. It's literally insane here, so definitely work needed over at this part of the town. Then along with that, I think I need to go ahead and focus on the lowlands as well for a bit, so that's what I'll do going forwards. Again though, comments down below, they really do help me out. Anyway, that's it for this episode, ladies and gentlemen, so hope you have enjoyed it. Please leave a like, rate and subscribe if you are new around here. This truck stop is busy, as we can see, but hopefully it'll go ahead and clear out some of the backlog. Anyway, that's all for this video, so thank you very much for watching. My name is ConflctNerd Callum, and I'm out.